Welcome to the Livelong Podcast, where your health is your power. I'm Rachel Lehmanhaupt, your host. Our special guest today, Kate Wallich, who's the founder of Dance Church. Now, if strength training is essential and walking is foundational, where does dance fit into the longevity science? This is the question that we're going to be exploring with Kate today. But Kate, first, tell us how you started Dance Church and what it is.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. So, Dance Church is an all levels movement class that is like one part dance, one part fitness, and one part like cathartic release. I founded the company in 2010, and all of our classes are taught by professional dance artists in cities around the country. And it is a movement experience that was designed for everybody. So you don't just have to be a dancer to take class. And to answer the question how I started the company, so in 2010, I had just graduated from college. I was in Seattle at the time, and I was really just needing a place to release and to find a sense of belonging in my community. And for some reason, I couldn't really find that. And so I started this all levels movement class that was really about me finding myself and about finding a sense of belonging in a new home. And over the years, just more and more people started to come and take class with me. And now, 15 years later, like it really has become a sort of like civic communal practice for a lot of people.
So, was it born of artistic expression, or did you really see? You explained that it was really your own personal mission to find community, but did you see a gap in the way that adults move or experience dance classes?
Yeah, I actually think that there's sort of like lacking spaces for people to experience movement and dance and togetherness in a way that doesn't require you like learning choreography. And so Dance Church was really designed to be this experience where you get the output of like dance and dancing, but you don't have to like have the skill set of like learning dance moves to participate in the experience.
Right. So it's really more about feeling and getting into the idea of joy, which we know is such an important part of healthy aging.
Yeah, it's about like awareness, it's about being in a group of people, it's about like regulating your nervous system, it's about finding, as we say in Dance Church, our mission is to experience the joy and release of dance.
Wonderful. And the joy and release of dance is actually very good for our brains, it turns out. A long-term study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that dancing was reduced was associated with reduced dementia risk more than any other activity. Ooh,
Y-
excuse me.
Yeah, it's I think dance is really interesting because it's like it's cognitive, but it's also like motor. So like you have multiple things happening at once when you're dancing. You're using your brain, you're sort of like using your like uh sort of like you're making decisions, like you're having to digest a lot of information, you're listening to music, you're having to like find a sense of rhythm. And so I think because like all these things are happening at once, it makes for like that's really good for your brain. Like it's
Yeah,
not just
is it
one
the
thing.
cardio or is it the complexity of having to think about the choreography?
I think it's both because obviously like cardio is like really a huge component to dance, especially dance church where like you don't stop moving for like 65 minutes. But the sort of learning choreography in a traditional dance class or like in dance church, we call it actions and coordinations. Like you're just, you're watching the teacher, the guide, you're having to negotiate, you're like the teacher's facing you, you're like, wait, is it the left arm or the right arm? And like you're trying to build coordination, um and so I think both of those things combined is what makes it really good for your brain. Like
Right,
you're
because you are,
navigating the
so it
body.
is partially the complexity because you aren't just like, going on a treadmill sort of mindlessly.
Yeah, like which, going on a treadmill is good, and it's meditative and it's repetitive in its own way, which I think has a lot of value as well. But there's something about like we call it like it's like juggling or something, where like you have all these things happening at once, and you're being in your body, you're like experiencing it, you're making decisions, you're also like, I think for dance church, like a lot of people are coming into the experience, and they're kind of nervous or they're scared. They're like, I've never been in a movement class before. I don't dance. But everywhere we're like, it's for everybody. And so you're also like sitting with that where like you're sort of uncomfortable and you're getting messy, and like you're like, wow, I'm like really close to all these bodies in the room. But and so I think for that reason, it's very stimulating for your brain,
And there's an element that you have to let your guard down. I mean, in a way, like I occasionally take a dance class at my local gym, and there are mirrors everywhere. But it seems
Yeah.
to me in this case, you're not worried about the way you look in front of a mirror as much as, because there aren't mirrors. You're just with
Yeah.
a group of people, and there's something about the connection to the group of people. I mean, social isolation is such a
Yeah.
dancing in a crowd, what could be more joyous and also more primal?
Totally. Like the no mirror component is huge, and that's always been there from the beginning of dance church. Um, Especially in dance culture, but just in life, like the mirror, how you look, having that sort of self-judgment, like we try to remove that like from the actual constraints of the room, like there's no mirrors, there's no judgment, and that turns off like a part of your brain where you can really like tap in, be present in your body, and you don't even have to worry about that. Like all you have to worry about is like listening to the teacher and saying yes to what you're going through right now. Which honestly, I've always said that the hardest part for people to like the biggest barrier, let's say, of coming to dance church is like making the decision to show up. Like that's always the hardest part for people. So I think I don't remember the second part of what you were saying, but yeah, I think the
Yeah,
no
the hardest part to show
component.
up. I mean, who doesn't, sort of resist moving onto the dance floor at a party or being the first person to start dancing at a party? But you know that when it happens, it always becomes a better party, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I do think that comparing dance church to like the moment at a wedding where like everybody's on the dance floor and like those like few like bangers come on is like a really good example of like what dance
Analogy,
church, yeah,
yes.
analogy of what dance church is like.
And
And it's just so good. It's like very regulating to be able to do that in community. And there aren't a lot of spaces to do that, like and there aren't a lot of spaces where you can like show up and go to like a dance club where you're expected to come alone. Like, sure, a lot of people come to dance church with friends, but like a lot of people come by themselves and they're there because there's a sense of togetherness and connection. And it's like expected, like, okay, I'm coming here. It's not a bar, it's not a nightclub. Like it's a morning or like evening, like fitness class, workout class, community class, and you're still getting that sense of togetherness.
I feel like in a way, collective joy is sort of underrated in the longevity space now. I mean, we're worried, we talk about metrics and we talk about measurements and
Yes.
genetics, but there's just something about dance that is just about pure joy. And that's such an important part of the components, the sort of lifestyle components of living a healthier, connected life.
Yeah, like that's so interesting, like the metrics part and the data part, like sure, that's really important. Even when I go on a run, like I like to track my run and see how far I went. But I think something that's special about movement and dance and dancing together in dance church is like the metrics part isn't really part of it. And, I think the best metric is like when you love something so much that you keep coming back and again and again and again and again. And like, to me, that like that integration of something that brings you joy, that's good for you, and like also like brings you into togetherness and out of isolation, like that that is a that does it. That's the metric. And I think that that's what I don't know, that's why people like it, and that's why people come back again and again and again.
Tell us what, you've done this probably hundreds of times now, thousands of times now. Tell us what happens in the room that's unexpected.
I think a lot of times people really don't know what to expect. It's actually really hard to explain what exactly dance church is, because it doesn't fit in like a known container for people in a lot of ways. So I think people are entering the room being like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm getting into right now, but the moment they like get over that hump, and we are so good at what we call our pool rules. Like, we're really good at saying like, here's what's going to happen, say yes to your choices, say yes to my choices, like take care of your body. Like, if the teacher is going 150% and you're like, I actually only want to go 10% today, like we create the container where like that's okay. And so I think people end the experience being like, oh my God, that was wild and crazy. I laughed. I felt emotional. Like, at times I was screaming at times. I was doing like weird things that I never thought I would do before. And all at the same time, I'm sweating and I feel like I got my heart rate up, and I met like 5 new people.
What, what more can you ask for?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I feel like, I'm particularly interested in this because when I was in my teens and 20s, I was in a dance company in New York
Oh,
City through my high school, and continued to dance all through my 20s and 30s, and then sort of stopped. And I feel like that's a common, you know, uh, aging thing. Whereas, a lot of women stop dancing in their 40s, when in fact it's really the time that you should start dancing.
yeah. Yeah, it's true. Like, when you look at it from like a professional dancer perspective, like let's take a ballet company. Like, that's your 30s, is like late 30s, 40s is like when a lot of people are retiring, and changing their careers. And you know, I think when you like, at least for dance church and the classes, like we really have so many different ages. Like, if you're a 60-year-old woman who's like showing up to a dance church, like most likely you are one of like a handful, if not more, of older women in the class. And I really love that about our classes. But for me, I'm about to be 37. I feel more aware that I do need to lift weights every once in a while. But other than that, I actually feel more in my body. I feel more in shape. I feel more um, like full, in my body than when I was in my 20s. And I think that it's kind of like a prime time to be moving, actually, when you are in your 30s and your 40s. Like you said,
And
like this is
beyond, and in
when,
your
yeah. Oh,
50s,
yeah, and beyond.
in your
Exactly.
60s. I think
Yeah.
there's never a time where you should stop dancing. In fact, you just have to maybe remember to start dancing. So what advice would you give to, say, a woman in her 50s or 60s who says, God, I haven't done this in 20 years. I feel so self-conscious.
Well, I will say what I always say to everyone, which is just come. But I do think that, um, I think for just a lot of people, there's like these, like, we have these barriers and these sort of like protective barriers around us. And the more that you can like tap them, break them, peel those layers away. I just think that the healthier, the more fulfilled, that we are as people, like saying yes to like showing up to anything is like that's brave. And I think like bravery and like being courageous and like having the courage to like go into spaces and places of the unknown is like that is what's going to keep you young forever, you know. I always like to say that there's like two types of people. There's like sparkly people, like the older they get, the more sparkly they get. And then like there's the other type of person that like the older they get, the more like pinholed they get. And for me, I feel like that sparkliness and like that discovery and that childlike play is such an important part to it's not even about like staying young, but it's just about staying like alive, you know? And so that would be my advice for like someone who's like curious. It's like be a sparkly person, say yes, show up.
If
It
there's
will be good for
anything that
you.
you walk away from this podcast from, I would say the best advice so far, in addition to starting to dancing, is to be a sparkly person. That's the best longevity advice I've heard
Okay, I
in
love
months.
that.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So if somebody hates going to the gym and loves music, do you think that dance can meaningfully contribute to cardio health?
Oh, yeah, 100%. You know, I think like a lot of dance classes, traditional dance classes where you're learning a five, six, seven, eight, there's a lot of like stop and go, you know, and when you're learning. But in a class like dance church, um, the music starts and it doesn't stop moving or stop playing for 65 minutes. And so as long as like music is going, like you could do this at home, make a playlist for yourself and just like don't stop moving. Like if you were to be tracking your metrics, like from an Apple Watch or something, you will see that like your cardio levels are the same as like going on a jog, going on a run, going to Barry's boot camp, or any of these sort of like fitness classes. So 100% like it's good cardio.
I think the advice is everybody should dance a little bit every day.
100%. Yes, totally. Everybody should dance every day. I dance every day. And I think like, you know, our bodies naturally want to do it. Like it's dance is like older than it's like the oldest of man, you know? And I think that that means something, you know? Also, when the world is a scary place, you know? When it gets really dark, people want to move. People want to be together. People want to dance. And so I think that that just says something. So yeah, I agree with you. People should dance a little bit every day.
It's primal. It is. It's really primal. And I think what you said, it's old. We've been doing it since we've been humans. And I feel like there's also something essentially human about dance.
Yeah, it's the people are afraid of their bodies and like they're afraid of choice making and um I think that, you know, there's a sense, I think I said this already, but there's like a sense of like moving your body, activating your cells, feeling like there's an aliveness when when you're doing that because it's not just the goal is not just like working out. It's like it's emotional. It's like it's physical. It's like it makes you happy. Like there's all this research now that says like, you know, dancing is better than SSRIs. Like it actually changes the chemistry in your body when you're listening to a song that you love and you're dancing, whether it's by yourself or, you know, with people. So I think like that, yeah, seems like a pretty human experience.
I love that. Dance is better than antidepressants. It is an antidepressant.
Yeah, it
If you're
is an
feeling
antidepressant.
sad, just get up and dance, put on some music, go to dance church. So if dance had to earn its place in longevity science, alongside strength training and walking, what do you think the strongest argument would be?
I think the strongest argument would be that dance is like a multi-dimensional or like multi-systems approach to movement and health. And I think that that's a deeply like sustainable thing. And
Right. You're
so
using your brain. You're using your cardiovascular system. Um,
you're
you're
using,
with people. You're connecting. It's like all of the things that are so important: connection, brain health. It sort of covers all the bases.
yeah. And it's doing it in a way that is so enjoyable that you don't have to force yourself to show up. Like you kind of want, the more you do it, the more you want to do it. It just becomes part of your life. And so that's a nourishing cycle, you know. It's like eating. Like people love eating,
That's exactly
you
what I
know?
was going to say. I was
Yeah.
hoping you would finish that sentence with that. Thank you so much for your insights, and maybe now that people sort of have a better understanding of what this little line on the agenda means, dance church, more people will feel comfortable joining in.
Yeah, please join. Dance for everybody. Thank you for having me, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you so much.